Thanks for clicking on Wayne.com for this Week 8 edition of Inside the Zone. Justin Kenny of the News Sentinel joining us, as always, here on this lovely Monday. And it is Week 8. We do have some big matchups this week. But let's go to talk about sectionals, because that sectional draw came out last night. And, boy, a lot of interesting matchups, specifically when you're talking about some Week 1 interesting games. And we're going to start off with 6A. You got Northrop against Homestead and Carroll against Warsaw. That Carroll against Warsaw game, pretty interesting when you're talking about Sectional 3 here in Northeast Indiana.
Definitely. We saw Warsaw give East Noble a game, 47-42 in Week 2. Warsaw can put up a lot of points. They've been very impressive in the Northern Lakes Conference, which is a very strong conference, very underrated, I think, in the northern half of the state. And they can put up plenty of points. So for Carroll to go on the road and have to take on a very prolific offense in Warsaw, that's going to be a tremendous challenge for the Chargers.
And you take a look at Northrop against Homestead. Homestead 5-2 on the season. Week 1, Homestead beats Northrop. They lose their starting quarterback, Drew Kazga. I know this Homestead Spartan team is excited, I would think, to play Northrop again, knowing especially what's on the line this season.
Definitely, and yes, and you know, Homestead very impressive on Friday, and really in taking down Carroll. I think a lot of us expected Carroll. We thought was probably the second best team in the SAC at this point in the season. I think you got to put Homestead up there at this point, and I think they were very impressive. We've been anticipating that Carroll-Homestead rematch that we see a lot of times in 6A. But no guarantees for Carroll going to Warsaw that they can advance to the sectional
That's what
final.
I was wondering, is do you see Carroll and Homestead meeting again? If so, what would be different about them playing, in the playoffs as opposed to what we just saw in Week 7?
Well, it's difficult because I think, talking to both coaches, they didn't hold anything back despite them being potential sectional opponents. I thought you saw everything that those teams could do on Friday night. Nothing was hidden. No playbook was held back or anything. So very impressed with the Homestead, their confidence defensively. We haven't seen them be confident on defense very much. And this year they started, and they said, a starting point was that Snyder game. We gave up 23 points to Snyder. We lost, but we got a little bit of a boost from that because not a lot of teams can hold Snyder below 30. They held him to 23 and felt, man, that's the best we're going to see, at least in the regular season. We feel pretty good with how we played that game. Now they're starting to improve on that, and they held a very good Carroll offense in check on Friday.
Do you see Homestead as the favorite to win this sectional? Because, boy, I mean, Warsaw's got a 5-2 record. They just won the W Trophy against Wawasee, and obviously Carroll is pretty darn good too, but Homestead's win against Carroll. Do you see Homestead as the team to beat?
I think it's tough. I think it's any of three teams. You can make a case for Homestead, Carroll, or Warsaw. Which of those three teams is going to put together a very solid 2 weeks over the stretch of the sectional? It's I would say Homestead the way they're playing right now, but we haven't seen a lot of Warsaw, so we're kind of, I don't want to discount the Tigers just because we don't see them very much, because they're a very dangerous 5-2 team against a conference full of 4, 5, 6A teams, and they've been playing pretty well. So I think you can make the case for any of those three teams.
Michael Jensen, Will McGarvey, some big weapons offensively for that Warsaw team.